Clearly, that's not what every guy wants. I'm Seema Anand. I'm a storyteller and a mythologist.
Hi, I'm Anvita Madan-Bahel and I'm a psychosexual therapist.
As you know, we get so many questions from people talking about how they seem to think almost of pleasure as something that they feel that they have to tick boxes around.
Go for it, because I do think the pressure is immense now.
My girlfriend and I started having sex recently, but I don't think she gets an orgasm with me. She tries to fake it, but I still feel it's off. We tried a few different positions too, but I don't know why it's not good for her. And there is the perfect example of what we expect. Her pleasure to you has to look a certain way, and only then will you feel that it is the correct thing.
Yeah, as in my first question would be, how do you know? Has she said that she's not enjoying sex and she didn't get an orgasm, or she wanted an orgasm? Everybody wants to or feels like they need to have an orgasm, especially women, but we keep repeatedly saying this, that penetrative orgasm is really, really hard for women.
I think it's the films really that are to blame totally, because they always have a scene, the two people come together, they have penetrative sex, they both orgasm together, and then they lie back on the bed, both sweating and gasping and puffing and panting. And man, is that an incorrect idea.
One of the things that I would say to this young man is, firstly, rather than trying different positions, try clitoral orgasm or oral orgasm. And also don't judge a clitoral orgasm as less than a penetrative orgasm. The problem becomes is people think, oh, but clitoral orgasm is not good enough. Firstly, that should be a woman's choice if it's good enough or not. And if it is good enough for your partner, then let that be it. Because sometimes it's really frustrating that people just keep trying and trusting and nothing really happens. You know, the man is just busy in wondering when the female will get an orgasm. The woman is just thinking, when is this ever going to end? And the pleasure, as we can just see from what I'm saying, the pleasure has just completely gone. There is no pleasure.
A lot of women do fake orgasms simply because the other person in the relationship does seem to expect that this is what will happen when they come together. And if it doesn't happen, he feels like he's letting himself down, he feels like he's letting the partner down.
Ask her and ask, what does she want, and is she okay? So honest communication between the two of you is really important. And number two, what I would really say is try clitoral orgasm and see if that works.
I've said this before, I'll say it again. The Kama Sutra advises that before you actually penetrate, a woman should be brought to orgasm at least twice. It doesn't mean that she's not going to enjoy the penetration. She will, but as Anvita said, enjoyment can be different in both partners, and it's really time to start talking to each other about what the other person likes rather than what you feel that they should like.
So if you are able to communicate and say, let's think of a plan of what gives me a penetrative orgasm, or actually I'm okay with the clitoral orgasm, and let's make this more about pleasure rather than who's going to come when.
Try it that way. Try actually talking to each other and saying, oh, okay, this is what gives you pleasure. Let's try this for you, and this is what gives me pleasure, so let's do this for me. And you'll be amazed that you both come away feeling really satisfied and happy.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
I started going down on this guy a few weeks ago, but I'm not sure that he likes it much because it takes him really long and I can't do it for that long. He then comes by jerking off or normal sex, and I don't know what to do different. You know, just like we say constantly for women that this is not the one thing only that excites them, or this is not the only one thing that will make them come, it works the same way for men. You know, this whole idea that a blowjob is what every man wants, every guy wants a blowjob, that's what makes him come in an amazing way. Clearly, that's not what every guy wants. Every human being is different. Every human being's pleasure is different.
Yeah, you know, like we said in the first question, have you asked him? You're assuming he's not enjoying it. You're assuming that, just because he has to jerk off afterwards, that he didn't get pleasure. Maybe there were stages of it and he did receive pleasure, and then he wanted to, have an orgasm or come through something else. It's just the way we said orgasm is difficult for women, penetrative orgasm. Oral orgasms also are not a cakewalk for men.
Most men come from the friction that they feel on their penis, and maybe for a lot of men that friction that they need will not come from oral sex, because maybe the mouth cannot move that quickly. Maybe they need a faster motion, which comes either from the hand or from penetration. And that actually reminds me, once again, going back to the Kama Sutra, it gives you 8 different types of kisses that you should employ during oral sex. If you keep doing it in the same way, you're only stimulating the same set of nerves. There are different nerves through the entire organ. The penis has so many different nerves. And it's the same thing, incidentally, for women. It sort of recommends 8 different ways of kissing a woman when you're going down on a woman, because there are so many different points inside the vulva as well.
Yeah, and what is the purpose of the blowjob, right? Like, is it part of the foreplay? Is it for him to get a higher arousal? Is it for him to get a better erection? Is it for him to get an orgasm? And so then depends on which part of the sexual act are you doing it. If you're doing it right at the beginning, he's obviously not going to come. If you're doing it after a long foreplay, maybe he will come easier. So I do think it's important to consider these things rather than just see it as, oh, I gave him oral sex and he didn't come.
And when all else fails, communicate.
Yeah.
Your first port of call should always be ask your partner. This is between the two of you.
And also, I was thinking with this idea, Seema, and I think there is all this myth and things around blowjobs as well. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Can good women go down? Is it like, good women don't do it? So, while we're on the topic, I do think that that's an other side of it as well, in some ways. The questioning the male pleasure, but also what do we think about women who give blowjobs?
Films and social media are so instrumental in shaping the way that we view intimacy, the way that we view sex. And we have to be so careful about what we watch and what we decide to take in. So if you want to know a little bit more about that, do remember to check out my last video that I did with TTT Dobara and see whether you can get some help and advice from there.